Hey snowboarding friends. All right, so learning to ride switch or backwards, okay? So if you're goofy and like I am, switch is gonna be riding this way, right? And if you're regular, obviously switch would still be that way if the board was flipped around. Anyways, so.
I thought you said you were done making weapons.
It is. This is a flight stabilizer. It's completely helpless.
So the hardest part I found about learning how to ride switch is that you are tempting to do something that your muscles are not used to, okay? Or your brain isn't wired to do it. So if you tried to write with your opposite hand, you know, for 30 days, it would be hard, but you'd eventually get it, right? So first step is that you know how to carve. If you don't know how to carve and hold an edge going forwards, right, then work on those before you get to the point of learning switch, right? Riding switch then is basically spending a whole day riding backwards once a month or every 2 weeks, right? So if you want to do switch tricks, you know, riding on rails, backwards, jumping backwards, you know, on a snowboard, that you need to learn how to ride switch. And it's been one of my weaknesses. So yesterday I spent all day riding switch and it is so boring, right? It is like you want to do spins and you want to do tricks and you're so proficient at going forward. And it's like learning how to ride a snowboard again. My calf, your calf, that's whichever your front foot, will actually get tired because it is not used to riding a snowboard that direction. So basically, when you're looking at learning to ride switch, you have to do it over and over and over and over for your muscles and your brain to start understanding. The other part is that I'm so used to my body being turned this way and looking for skiers over my head this way that it almost is like I have to force myself to twist and look, and even my neck is not even used to it because I'm so used to looking that way. So there's a lot of mechanics that you have built up if you've been riding your straight forward and not having any kind of problems, you know, going forward, that when you turn to switch and riding backwards on a snowboard, that you're going to have to basically rewire your brain to do both, and that takes time and patience.
You got it? Now don't let it touch you. Eyes when you're coming out. That's what I was trying to tell you before. Okay, now make sure that when you pull it out, you don't pull out there's a magnet at the end of it. That was it.
And you know, I've got really good at it. 2 years ago, I couldn't do it at all. It scared the living daylights out of me. I would hop to my front side edge going backwards instead of transition because I wasn't very good at riding on my flat when I mean, basically, I'm fighting my body. The other thing is that depending on your binding angles, right? So with starting, you know, with a starter, if you're set up in like a 18 and a 0 or maybe a -3, you may have to start getting your binding angle. I've heard that people can ride backwards with a foot straight across. You know, it's all up to your preference, how comfortable you feel. I went from -5. I finally found where I really like it, which is at a -12. Your disc will have 3, between the degrees it'll have on Burton bindings, it'll have 3 prongs, and I'm at a 12 now, and I'm very happy with it, right? I slowly moved it further and out. My stance is not that wide. I've seen a lot of wider stance people, and that's all your own feeling. How your feet are when you lay down in bed is how they should be. If they're straight across, maybe it's straight across. Maybe it's wider, maybe it's narrow. Your height, your weight is how you feel comfortable. And I found riding with, like, I think this is, both my bindings are exactly the same distance from the end of the board. And I'm gonna switch it up today and ride my other signal because it's not waxed, and I want to see if the PVC pipe is not as slippery in the backyard. But that being said, back to the point. The point is that if you're gonna learn to switch, it's gonna take time, it's gonna take patience, you're gonna fall down, and you got to rewire your brain to think, to ride switch, and you've got to practice it. And it is very boring to practice it because you may be very proficient at going down the hill very fast and doing jumps and all that, but riding switch is like starting all over, snowboarding backwards without the capability of what you have going forward. So it's like taking a step back, and that's very difficult when you can hold an edge, and when you can, I was doing nose rolls yesterday, 180 nose rolls, right, to entertain myself in between riding switch, because it was just boring. But you got to get those muscles in your mind to understand what you've been doing for how many years, or even if you're new and you want to start doing this, you got to change it up, and you got to get used to riding switch backwards for, I'd say 1 day a week you should do it. It's up to your preference, but yeah, it's boring as hell because it's just like riding, and you can speed up and learn how to hold edge, but you may fall, and falling is learning, right? But sum it up basically is it's a lot more. It's hard to go back to step one of learning how to snowboard when you're going backwards on a snowboard in riding switch. So that's my advice to you, is take your time, be patient with it, spend a whole day once a week doing it, and you'll get better over time, and then you can do those tricks that you want to do, onto a pipe, onto a rail, onto a box, onto a kicker, whatnot. So that's my advice to you on that. Stay tuned, subscribe to our channel, stay tuned for more videos. Yeah, and if you got any videos you want us to do about something, throw a comment down below or DM us, whichever. All right, stay tuned.